Hi everyone, welcome to our daily TikTok live. I'm Neama Romania, of course. Liana was answering questions earlier today, but I'm going to be covering what was probably the biggest day in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial so far. Obviously, Depp testified for the second time. He was fantastic. We had a surprise TMZ former employee who testified waived the reporter privilege. We got the Photoshop expert. Now we know Depp's theory of the case. Obviously, Kate Moss, we've been anticipating this for quite some time. A Seattle police officer came in to testify that Heard was abusive towards her ex. We just shot a documentary that they're shooting in the UK about the trial, so expect that. Spent part of my day doing that. And of course, we dropped a couple TikTok videos, one on the TMZ surprise. Again, reporters normally don't waive the privilege, but this one did, as well as the top 5 takeaways. So check out our video, jump in with any questions. Julia, of course, as always, behind the camera here helping us out. Let us know. I'm going for probably about an hour because I gotta get ready for Court TV. We're doing a recap tonight, 6 p.m.
Someone
Pacific.
said they saw you on Court TV.
Oh, thank you. I'm doing Court TV, alternating Court TV and Law and Crime. Doing Court TV again in less than 2 hours. So check me out with Vinnie Politan during their primetime show tonight. We're going to be covering all the day's testimony on Court TV.
How much time does each side have left?
I know Amber Heard only has 1 hour left. I think Johnny Depp has up to 7, but that is really shows that tomorrow is definitely the last day of testimony, and we're going to be doing closing arguments on Friday.
Your suit and your
Thank
tie.
you. Appreciate it.
What can we expect for tomorrow?
If I'm Amber Heard, I think she has to take the stand, even though she only has an hour. I know she was a poor witness the first time around, but today was so damaging for her case. Depp's team did such a good job with their rebuttal witnesses. If you're Heard's lawyer, you can't have that be the last thing the juries hear from before closing arguments and then go into that deliberation room. I mean, it was brutal for Heard today.
Okay, next question. What should Johnny do with the last 7 hours?
You know, today was such a good day. I'm surprised they didn't close with him, but maybe they were concerned about the cross-examination because the defense did score some points. I thought one of the few criticisms I have is Depp has generally been very honest and credible. He should have admitted the text messages. He did admit to some of the earlier ones, and he said that he uses colorful or descriptive language, and that's something that he picked up from his friend who passed, Hunter S. Thompson. I don't know why he denied the text messages when they came from his phone. I didn't like that, but I really liked the rest of his testimony. I love the rebuttal witnesses from Kate Moss, Seattle PD, Photoshop expert. All in all, a fantastic day, as well as the TMZ witness. Surprising and very good testimony for Johnny Depp.
We're at 1.3K.
Hi, everyone. Just to recap, Neama Romania, of course, trial attorney, Harvard Law grad, former prosecutor. I cover the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial for Court TV. I'm going to be on at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. Check me out. Again, we'll be recapping the day. Follow, ask all your questions in what was probably the most important day of testimony so far.
On that note, what was damning today for Amber?
Oh my, so many. Kate Moss, right? Kate Moss comes and testifies that the push down the stairs incident never happened. She just slipped and fell, right? So all of a sudden Amber Heard is either a liar or spreading rumors. Not good. Then TMZ tries to prevent their former employee from testifying, but Morgan Tremaine comes on and says that he doesn't say it, but he says it without saying it, that someone tipped them off that Amber was filing for a restraining order, and that someone tipped them off when she was having her deposition taken, and that someone told them to video and photograph the right side of her face, and that someone sent them an edited video of the infamous kitchen incident. Of course, the implication being that it was Amber Heard or someone that worked for her. I think the Photoshop expert was important because we needed a theory of the case for the Depp team. And it's better that we got it out now than waiting for closing arguments, but they had to argue that it was makeup, it was photoshopped, There's Botox or fillers, something. The juror is going to want some sort of explanation for the injury pictures and video when they go into the deliberation room. Obviously, anytime a police officer is good, but when you have someone testifying that Heard was violent, aggressive, pulling her ex, pulling a necklace off her, was drunk at a Seattle airport, also highly effective, in my opinion.
A lot of people are saying, and I've seen this on social media too, oh, wrong one, that the texts were wrong. The lawyers were saying that they were from Johnny, but they showed incoming. So, like, Johnny was receiving them.
Well, okay, so what that was phones have been subpoenaed, right? So Depp's phone was subpoenaed. His assistant's phone may have been subpoenaed. So when they download the native text, they may have been downloaded off the assistant's phone, and they were still coming from Depp, if that makes sense. So there's many subpoenas that were probably sent in this case, because sometimes text messages disappear, phones disappear. So they may have come from Johnny's phone, but have been extracted from the assistant's.
What is subpoenaed?
So one thing that lawyers can do in civil cases is issue subpoenas. And we saw this today when it came to the ex-TMZ employee. You can subpoena people to come testify in court. And if you kind of saw the back and forth, the former TMZ employee, Tremaine, he testified voluntarily. He didn't get a subpoena. But you can also subpoena documents and information. So let's say someone has been communicating with Johnny Depp about Amber Heard or anything that has to do with this case. Their text messages can be subpoenaed, and that's what we saw today.
Is it normal for attorneys to be so combative?
Normally not, but this is clearly an emotional case. We all on social media are emotional. There's a lot of pressure on these lawyers. Tens or hundreds of millions of people across the world are watching, and the parties obviously don't like each other. Amber and Johnny have to be separated in court. Normally you don't have sheriff's deputies in court in a civil case. Obviously you have them in criminal cases. But it's so nasty here, both between the lawyers and the parties. I'm not surprised it's gotten so emotional, even though I don't think it's very professional.
Do you think they proved the photos were altered?
I think they did a good job in establishing some sort of theory, right? I know people have been talking about makeup kits, and you have plastic surgeons, dermatologists talking about fillers, Botox, or other procedures, but you need something. Obviously, those pictures and videos, they're out there. And if you're Depp, you need to argue that it's completely fabricated. So Photoshop may be the way to go. I think it's someone that probably should have testified longer and testified during their case in chief, but ultimately they got what they needed in rebuttal.
You're getting some hats.
Love the
hats.
hats.
Pretty good. Okay, let's see.
Just to recap, Neama Romani, trial lawyer, legal commentator, been covering this case for almost 6 weeks now on Court TV and Law and Crime, tracking every moment with Julia here, who's behind the camera, so thanks for helping. Tell a little bit about myself. Harvard Law grad, former federal prosecutor, tried a lot of cases, and now I do the commentary for all the big trials, including this one. So follow us. If you have any legal questions, objections, foundation, any evidence that came in or didn't come in, fire away.
All right. Do you think Johnny's chances improved today?
No question. He was an amazing witness the first time. I think he was even better the second time, aside from that criticism I had regarding the text messages. But you guys and girls, the way he closed this morning during his direct examination was probably one of the best pieces of testimony I've seen during the entire trial. Watch it if you haven't seen it. He got really emotional, and it was very compelling in my opinion. Then you got an ex that testified that Johnny wasn't violent. You got a police officer that testified that Heard was violent. So 2 great witnesses there in terms of the Seattle police officer and Kate Moss. Obviously, you got your Photoshop witness, and you got TMZ that's basically saying that Amber Heard's lying when she said she didn't send the video and tip off TMZ. Great day for Johnny Depp today.
A lot of people want to know, what's your opinion about the guy from TMZ?
I was really surprised because reporters really care about this reporter privilege, right? That's how they get information. That's how they protect their sources. So never underestimate a disgruntled former employee, and that's what I did. But in my experience, and I deal with reporters every single day. In addition to doing this on TikTok and TV, I talk to reporters. They call me all the time. I've never in 20 years had one of them disclose their sources because that's how they get information. So I did not think that was going to happen, but Morgan Tremaine obviously felt strong enough to get involved in the trial, fly all the way out to Virginia to testify, and reveal how TMZ works. So that was his privilege, which means he has a right to waive it, even though his former employer, TMZ, didn't want him to.
Someone's asking, what does objection foundation mean? I'm learning. They should also look at our TikTok about that.
So we did a couple videos on objections, but let me just tell everyone who doesn't know. So when you're objecting to a question and you're objecting foundation, that means the witness doesn't have personal knowledge of what is being asked. And there's generally three types of foundational objections. The first is what you call hearsay. That means the witness has the information, but the information has been communicated or told to them by someone else. That's not proper. That's hearsay. The second is calls for speculation. The witness is guessing. The witness can't guess. Now you can either testify to what you saw, or if you have an estimate, you can testify to that, but you can't guess. That's where speculation comes in. And foundation is basically no personal knowledge. So you all don't know that, for instance, we did an interview today for a documentary they're shooting in the UK about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. I mean, they're already filming with this type of stuff. Not surprising. So if you tell someone that would be hearsay. If you heard it from me here, you don't have personal knowledge, right? You lack foundation. Only I can testify to it because I was physically there.
A lot of people are saying they like your tie.
Thank you.
And why is Rottenborn allowed to be so aggressive?
Look, the parties have been pretty aggressive in this case. They try to rattle the other side, right? And you can see a clear distinction. When Amber Heard's testifying, the gloves are off, right? I mean, Camille's going after her, Rottenborn's going after Depp. These are parties in the case. There's really, aside from ethical and evidentiary rules, you can go after them pretty hard. But you'll notice the witnesses are very different with lay witnesses. The lawyers are very different when it comes to lay witnesses. Compare how Camille handled Amber versus how Depp's lawyers handled Whitney, the sister. They treat them very differently. Also with experts, generally, the lawyers are going to be more aggressive because they're paid to be there to testify.
Was Johnny's cross-examination today bad for him? I'm assuming like the text messages.
The one part I thought the text messages were bad. And the problem is it's inconsistent. So during his first round of testifying over several days, he admitted to the text messages, right, with Paul Bettany, having intercourse with her burnt corpse. Look, those are disturbing. They're unkind text messages. But I think Depp can explain how he was so emotional, he was upset, he was venting to a friend. Today, and again, we're talking about some woman named Molly, whoever that is. I don't think it was the substance. I think it was actually a woman. I think Depp should have just admitted it. I know it showed him in an unflattering light, but it's probably the only time during the course of this trial where I really didn't believe Johnny Depp. I thought that was a mistake.
Is Amber done?
Today was bad for her.
I think they mean in terms of testifying too.
Oh no, she can come back on sur rebuttal. So there's 4 parts to a trial. You have your case in chief if you're the plaintiff. You have your case in chief if you're the defendant. We're in the plaintiff's rebuttal, so they're bringing witnesses to contradict what Heard said during her case in chief. Heard can actually come back with a sur rebuttal. I don't know if it's going to be her. I don't know if it's going to be some other witness, but I'd want to use that 1 hour if I were Amber Heard and her lawyers, because today was terrible for her. And I know Johnny Depp still has at least one more witness tomorrow. So
they want to know, why was today terrible for her?
I think there's really sort of 5 reasons why it was bad. First, Johnny Depp was really good. That's number 1. Number 2, the exes. I mean, there's a reason that the 2 witnesses we saw today, Kate Moss and Seattle PD, did not testify in Depp's case in chief. They had been excluded or they weren't relevant for some reason. We're going back to the fist pump, right? Amber Heard opened the door to Kate Moss testifying. That was a mistake. That was something that she shouldn't have done. So all of a sudden Kate Moss comes and says, no, Depp was never violent towards me, right? That was bad. Anytime you have an ex come in and contradict what you're saying, that's bad. The other, not ex, but when you have a police officer, and jurors love police officers, you have a police officer testifying that Heard was drunk, she's at the airport, she's grabbing her ex's arm, she's pulling a necklace off her. That's bad testimony for Amber Heard. So that's really the third reason. I thought the TMZ employee was good for Depp because it really showed that Heard was lying, or she did it, or someone was doing it on her behalf, because they were tipped off everywhere she was going, everything that she was doing, that she wanted to get this story out into the press. So that contradicted her testimony. And then the Photoshop expert, and I don't think he was the best expert I've ever heard from, but I've been saying it for weeks. I think Depp needed to explain somehow, some way, make up, Photoshop something, why those pictures exist, and they did today. So that's what I thought was a pretty bad day for Amber Heard.
And a lot of people want to know about Morgan Tremaine, the TMZ guy. What was your reaction to how he replied to Elaine?
Yeah, that I know Elaine tried to go after him and said, this is your 15 minutes of fame, and that's why you're here. Look, it's a fair question, right? He's not subpoenaed. All of a sudden he's getting involved. It was surprising. Look, most reporters don't waive their privilege. I'm not saying, look, I've been on TMZ. I've done interviews for TMZ. I'm not trying to, but I still consider them reporters. I'm here in LA, and believe me, whether it's Kobe or something else, TMZ breaks stories here in LA. I mean, they are on top of it. And normally they're not going to burn their sources. So I was really surprised when he, again, waived his reporter privilege, voluntarily testified. Elaine tried to go after him, and he clapped back pretty aggressively. But what I would say, if I were Elaine, is, listen, man, especially given all the bad reviews and everything they've gotten online, defending Amber Heard is not something that is going to make anyone famous. In fact, it'll probably make them infamous.
So we're at over 4K. This is a new record for us.
All right.
Do you want to?
Yeah, to recap, I'm Neama Romani, Harvard Law grad, former federal prosecutor, trial lawyer. Been doing this for 20 years. I do live trial coverage on Court TV and Law and Crime. I'm on Court TV again tonight, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 Eastern. We're covering today's witnesses. Probably biggest day in the Depp Heard trial so far. I'm answering all of your legal questions. Follow us if you like what you're hearing, and jump in with any questions. It's my job to make the law understandable and accessible to everyone.
All right, next question. A lot of people have been asking this in the comments too. What are your thoughts on Amber smirking at Johnny when on the stand?
Yeah, that was bad. Look, Amber, I know you're emotional. I know you can be reactive, but you gotta control it. That's a bad look in front of the jurors. And the 2 worst days of the trial so far for Amber were today and last week on Tuesday during her cross-examination. Last week, of course, she stormed off before the jurors even left. Bad. And today, her reactions, you gotta keep it together, okay? People pick up on those cues. If we're all seeing it and we're just watching on TV, what do you think the jurors are gonna think? It's disrespectful, and it's a way you could lose this case.
All right, so next question. If you were Amber's lawyer, how would you feel about her?
I wouldn't feel good. You have a client who's an outright liar or is exaggerating, right? There's things she's lied about. We've talked about it. Charitable contributions, clear lie, right? Now you have witnesses saying that she's lying about the specific incidents. But even if you believe Amber, right? And I'm trying to be balanced here. Do you believe her testimony when she said that I thought Johnny was going to kill me, or Johnny hit me so many times that I stopped counting or I lost count? The pictures and videos don't support it. So even the folks that are defending Amber Heard, you have to admit that she's exaggerating. And I think that's why, setting aside her reactions and how she presents and everything, she's been a poor witness, in my opinion.
Who gets the last word?
In closing argument or in witnesses? I'll do both. Amber gets a sur rebuttal, but she only has an hour left. So the question is, what is she going to do with that last hour? Is Amber going to testify, or are they going to bring someone else? So Amber really gets the last word once Depp is done with rebuttal. And in closing arguments, Depp's lawyers get the last word because they have the burden of proof.
All right. What are your thoughts on Johnny getting feisty on the stand today?
Well, he was feisty, but I thought he clearly doesn't like Rottenborn, right? They absolutely dislike each other. Same thing with, obviously, Camille and Amber. They've been going at it for quite some time. Rottenborn scored some blows with respect to the text messages, and Johnny got rattled a little bit. But again, I thought he did so well during his direct before the lunch break that I think that really outweighs whatever points Rottenborn scored on cross.
What's your opinion on Dr. Curry today?
She was all right. Of all the witnesses, I thought they were going to bring Curry back, but she came in and basically testified that Dr. Hughes, her evaluation was incorrect and her interpretation of the test results. When it comes to these experts, they really sort of wash each other out, in my opinion. I thought Curry was really important the first time to kind of lay the groundwork for the diagnoses, right? Amber's borderline, she's histrionic, she had this fear of Johnny leaving her, and that's why she acted the way she did, and she kind of fabricated all this. So I thought that was really interesting today. And again, I'm not saying she was bad, but of all the witnesses we heard from, there were so many important ones. I think she was the most meh, in my opinion.
We've officially broke 5K.
All right, let's do a quick recap. Neama Romani, trial lawyer, Harvard Law grad, former federal prosecutor, worked at the biggest law firm in LA. I represented huge companies like Disney before Pirate Sick, Marriott, Roman Catholic Church. Then was a federal prosecutor, worked for the Department of Justice, did drug cartel, human trafficking prosecutions, tried a lot of cases. Now my own firm with about 25 lawyers, 100 staff. Julia is one of them. I'm here in LA. Regular legal commentator. I do court TV, law and crime, news across the board. Obviously, I've been covering the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial every single day. I'm going to be on court TV at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Watch me then. And for now, I'm going to answer all your questions about the case. Today, especially, biggest day of trial so far, in my humble opinion. Jump in with any questions. I want to make law fun, easy, accessible, and understandable to everyone.
At this point, who do you think is winning?
I think Johnny Depp's winning at this point. I really do. He's already won in the court of public opinion. I mean, no question. He has absolutely killed it. I would say that 90 or 95% of people watching right now support Johnny Depp. And especially, let's not forget where he came from. He was destroyed in the UK, right? Obviously, different case but there, a judge found that it was substantially true that he abused Amber Heard at least 12 times. He went up on appeal. He lost. The comeback he's made has been nothing short of extraordinary from a legal perspective.
Many people are trying to tell you that it was an incoming text. Johnny didn't send it. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, let's address that. Okay. Yeah. So, we're lawyers. We subpoena people, okay? We subpoena Johnny. If we're Amber Heard, I'm Amber Heard's lawyer. I subpoena Johnny. Of course, I subpoena his assistant, okay? So that text message could easily have come from the assistant's phone. It was extracted from the assistant's phone, but it came from Johnny. I don't want you to think that subpoena power is limited to the parties. You can subpoena non-parties all the time. Maybe Johnny deleted his text messages. Maybe he tossed his phone. But don't just assume because the said incoming that it wasn't a text sent from Johnny. It may have been extracted from the assistant's phone, but still come from Depp.
Okay, they're putting a lot of hats on you right now.
I love the hats. I can't see them, but I love the hats. Sure, Julia will show me after.
Can she face criminal charges for perjury?
Okay, in theory, yes. In practice, it's not going to happen. We did a video response on this, but let me just recap it. So perjury is obviously if you lie under oath, you can be charged. I'm a former prosecutor. I can tell you, in this country, unless there's some other crime committed, like fraud, perjury is very rarely, if ever, charged. The more than 1,000, probably 2,000 cases I handle as a prosecutor, I can count on one hand the number of times I charge perjury alone. And the reason is this. Prosecutors have more important things to deal with, number one. Two, prosecutors do not want to get involved in civil disputes. We I used to be a prosecutor, we consider it a misuse of our criminal justice system for it to be used as leverage against your civil opponent. So it's not going to happen. And the third thing is this: whether you believe her or not, Amber Heard may be the victim of domestic violence. She may absolutely be lying, but she may be a victim. And you don't want to be prosecuting potential victims of domestic violence for perjury. And if you don't like the answer, just know this: the same reason Amber Heard isn't going to be prosecuted for perjury is the same reason that Johnny Depp is not going to be prosecuted for drug use when he admitted to using every drug imaginable during this case. Just not going to happen. Set it out of your mind.
Is Amber going to jail for lying? That's the same question.
Same perjury question. Just not going to happen. Just set that out of your mind. Former federal prosecutor for years. She's not going to be charged with perjury.
I thought they were asking if she was going to go to jail and be guilty.
Remember, guys, this is a civil case. It's about money. It's not a guilty, not guilty case. No one's going to jail, so there's not beyond a reasonable doubt. This is Depp versus Heard. It's not the people of the state of California versus Amber Heard or Johnny Depp. There's no prosecutors in this case, and there's not going to be a guilty or not guilty verdict here.
Oh my gosh, the screen is going crazy right now. Does Johnny's sarcasm help or hurt him?
I don't like the sarcasm either. Look, there's been some times where he's been like folksy and it's been somewhat cute. But look, this is a serious case, and you want to make sure that you're respectful to the jurors, to the court, and to the attorneys. So I'm not a huge fan when he gets like that. But look, I get it. He's emotional. He's being accused of all sorts of things. That's why I really liked his testimony at the end of the morning session today, when we really talked about, look, this has destroyed me, and I've lived with this burden on me for the past 6 years. Very powerful, very genuine testimony, as opposed to kind of the less serious, sarcastic type comments.
Do you think her lawyers know she's lying?
I think her lawyers have to know that she's exaggerating, right? She comes across as dramatic, theatrical. Here's one of my problems with Amber Heard, is she refuses to accept any responsibility for anything. Again, she can be a victim, but like she's clearly at a minimum verbally abusive to Depp, right? She hit him at least one time. I'm probably guessing more than once. Just be honest and admit the violence was mutual, that you were also jealous, right? That's what your own sister Whitney said. So why are you taking this position that I'm the victim, I haven't done anything, it's all Johnny, when we know at best it was a toxic relationship where both of them had a part to play in the violence?
Is Lydia Phillip still to testify tomorrow?
We don't know who's going to testify tomorrow. Depp's team has said they have one more witness. We'll see if they have more than one. They have 7 hours. So are they going to use the full 7 hours? Are they saving that for cross-examination? I think Amber Heard has to do something. She should probably testify herself if she can get it together and be better than she was the first time around. Because if you're Heard's lawyer, we always say in law 2 things: recency and primacy, right? So people remember what they just heard. So the last thing the juror is going to remember is a very good day for Johnny Depp. And if that's the last impression they have before they start deliberating, it's going to be bad luck for Amber Heard.
What do you think of Kate Moss's testimony?
That was pretty good. This is something that obviously Depp's team wanted to get in. And she testified, listen, like, we're in Jamaica, it starts raining, right? Like, I slipped on these 3 steps, I'm hurt, Johnny comes and he gives me attention right away. It was just very good in terms of the story. So different from the story. I mean, we're talking an infamous staircase incident, right? Amber saying that she's thinking of Kate Moss and that's why she got involved, and Johnny's hitting Whitney, her sister. So you have a very different story said by Amber Heard. And the problem with it is she brings up Kate Moss. Clearly has nothing to do with Kate Moss. And the reason we know the staircase incident has nothing to do with Kate Moss is Whitney testifies that Amber got jealous and started the whole fight. So when your own sister is basically telling the jurors a different story, that's bad. And then the fact that Kate Moss came and said that Johnny's never been violent towards her, I thought that was good testimony for Depp today.
Is the TMZ guy going to be sued by TMZ?
I think so. Yeah. So there's an agreement. They have a non-disclosure agreement. And this is something that was referenced in the judge's order. So let's kind of take a step back to analyze this. So reporters have a privilege that protects them from being compelled, that means being forced to reveal their sources. It's called the reporter's privilege. And most states have a version of this in the law. It's called a shield law. Now, Virginia doesn't, but The court recognized this privilege. However, the holder of a privilege, it can be an attorney-client privilege, doctor-patient privilege, whatever. Holder of the privilege can waive the privilege. So this ex-employee waived the privilege, showed up voluntarily to testify. So TMZ tried to block him from testifying, saying, we don't want him to testify because of the reporter privilege and because he has a non-disclosure agreement with us. So the judge said, well, it's his privilege, he can waive it. And if there's a breach of the non-disclosure agreement, that's between you, TMZ, and Morgan Tremaine, your former employee. You can sue him if you want. And if you recall, Tremaine said that TMZ is notoriously litigious. So I would expect them to sue their employee, to send a message, but that doesn't mean that the testimony didn't come in today.
Everyone is saying he did not reveal a source, so he didn't actually give a name.
Yeah, so, okay, let's talk. So, look, we're talking about whether he actually breached his NDA, right? I mean, separate case. So, you're right, he did a good job testifying generally how TMZ works, right? Talked about the watermark, the sort of boom, boom, the music they put at the beginning of the video and the end. So, I thought he did a good job dancing around that. But I'm saying, if he did anything wrong, it would be a breach of contract case between TMZ and him and nothing to do with the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial.
Thank you guys for all the gifts and the roses that you're sending and all the filters.
Oh,
They're
thanks
really
guys
funny.
for the filters, ads. We love it. I love talking. This is a sad case that really sort of a really private divorce, that all this dirty laundry was aired in a public way. But if there's anything good about this case, I think it helped people understand our justice system. And as a lawyer, I do this every single week. I'm doing live trial commentary. And the more people that understand the law, understand how our court system works, I think it helps build confidence in both our criminal system of justice. Obviously, I'm a lawyer. I like it when non-lawyers get involved in this. Maybe some of you will want to go to law school or have legal questions. So again, jump in, keep them coming. I'm Neama Romani. I'm happy to answer them.
All right. Can Amber go to jail for lying under oath?
So we've talked about it. Perjury prosecution, not going to happen. Watch my video that we posted, I think, yesterday. I'll explain why, but just set that out of your mind. Not a possibility.
She is countersuing. Is that within this trial?
Yes. There's something that's called a compulsory counterclaim. So what does that mean? That means it's mandatory that if you don't bring the claim, you lose it. So when Johnny sued Amber for defamation, Amber had some claims that she either had to bring or she would lose them forever. And those were the defamation claims against Johnny. Even though he didn't say it specifically, and this is some of the testimony that came out today. If you saw the beginning of Johnny Depp's testimony this morning, he addressed it, where he said, listen, my lawyer put out those statements saying that this was all a hoax. He called it the word salad. This is not something that I authorized or asked him to do. In fact, I didn't know he was doing, because he was trying to distance himself from the potential defamatory comments. Because if the lawyer was acting at the direction of Johnny or on his behalf, it's called a principal-agent relationship, then Johnny is responsible for those defamatory statements. If the lawyer wasn't, then Johnny is not. And that's why that testimony was relevant today.
Do you think the jury read between the lines of the TMZ guy?
I think so. It was clear as day to me that when Tremaine was saying, well, someone, emailed the video to the tip line, and someone tipped off my producer that Amber was going to file the restraining order and to record the right side of her face, and that someone let me know when Amber was arriving at LAX and going to her deposition. It was clear that someone was either Amber, her assistant, her lawyer, her publicist, someone working on her behalf. I think that was pretty clear, and he did a good job of dancing around it. And part of it was he didn't know, right? Because some of the information came from his producers, and some was emailed to him. So he had to dance around some of the objections that we've talked about, right? Foundation, hearsay, and he did a good job talking generally how TMZ works. So I think we all understood by implication that Amber was being less than honest when she said that she didn't leak it. Even if she didn't, it was clearly someone that was acting at her direction.
Will the edited photos be thrown out?
No. So when experts testify that something's photoshopped or this is what we lawyers call, it goes to the weight of the evidence, but not admissibility. So if something's inadmissible, a document, a piece of evidence, a picture, a video, whatever, doesn't come in at all, if there is a potential issue with the document, right? There's an allegation that it's been altered. That goes to the weight of the evidence. The attorneys argue, jurors, you shouldn't believe this piece of evidence. It's not reliable. It's not credible because it's been altered. That's up to the jurors to decide how much weight to give each piece of evidence, but that doesn't mean it's excluded or inadmissible entirely.
When they run out of time, I'm assuming they mean Amber Heard's team. Can they still have a rebuttal?
No, this judge has made it clear that once you are out of time, you are done. And Heard's lawyers have made many mistakes during this case, but one of the biggest ones is they've misused their time. If you recall, weeks ago, when Johnny Depp had finished his case in chief, because Heard's lawyers had spent so much time on cross-examination and gone so slow that at the end of Johnny's case in chief, Heard's lawyers had used more time than Depp had. So once they're done with their hour tomorrow, they are done. By the way, I'll be on Law and Crime tomorrow covering the case. Court TV tonight, Law and Crime tomorrow. I'm doing the afternoon session tomorrow, Thursday. Court TV in probably about an hour, right?
Yeah, it's 4:47, so...
So, yeah, we got a little bit of time.
Close.
Yeah, so close.
When this ends, then you guys can go to Court TV and watch Neama on there.
Yeah, so watch me, courttv.com. Like I said, I alternate between the two. Love them both.
What's your take on Amber taking notes all the time?
Well, is she going to take the stand again? If she is, then those notes are a good idea. But hopefully she's keeping herself active during the case and not misbehaving, snickering, making faces and those types of things. Because the jurors pick up on that, just like we all have.
That's a segue into the internet is loving Johnny, but is the jury?
Johnny has definitely won the internet. I mean, Amber Heard doesn't have a chance. Look, I don't know if the jurors are going to like Amber. The question is this. There's really three possibilities, right? Obviously, Johnny Depp is lying. 2, Amber Heard is lying, right? Or the third is, they're both lying, but they're both responsible, right? They're both being violent and abusive towards one another. And the reason I think Amber Heard still has a chance is in a scenario where there's mutual violence, right? Amber's instigating, but Johnny's fighting back, or vice versa. There's mutual violence. They're both victims of domestic violence. And if the jurors are really following the law and following the instructions, Amber can still win.
Will they bring back Amber to the stand, in your opinion?
I think they should, because of how bad today's testimony was. I think Amber has to take the stand tomorrow to try to salvage this case. But again, lawyers can disagree, and Amber Heard testified very poorly the first time. So do you want to risk putting her on again? I think you have to if you're Amber Heard's team.
Will the UK reopen the case given the new info?
So the UK case is done. Again, that's the case Johnny Depp versus the Sun. So Amber Heard wasn't a party to the case. Look, is there a possibility that Heard is investigated for perjury in the UK? That's a possibility. I know the criminal justice system here in the United States very well. She's not going to be prosecuted for perjury here, but that doesn't mean the UK can't do their own investigation, just like Australia is investigating her for lying about the dogs.
Do you believe Amber was being hit? Johnny Depp's rings are big.
Yeah, I mean, sort of the ring thing. Look, here's sort of my beliefs. Even if there was violence, it's not the kind that was described by Amber. Again, Amber said 2 things that really resonated with me. I thought Johnny Depp was going to kill me. He hit me so many times I lost count. I'm like, oh my God. I was expecting like a Rihanna Christmas. Like I've prosecuted attempted murder cases, right? Serious felony domestic violence. What I saw in those pictures, I'm not condoning any violence, especially against women. But that was a misdemeanor battery in my opinion. I think she exaggerated and really put herself out there in a way that she didn't have to. And I think she lost credibility as a result. And I understand kind of the ring argument. Johnny has so many rings. If he really was hitting her that many times, we would expect to see much more significant bruising.
Not condoning violence.
Not condoning violence.
Who do you think Depp's team will call tomorrow?
I don't know who they're going to call. I think they're actually going to close with him. But they did kind of sandwich him between some other witnesses. I think part of it was they didn't want his cross-examination to go into tomorrow. That would give Heard's lawyers a strategic advantage to have some time tonight to sort of fashion some questions. But they said they have at least one witness left, so we'll see who it is tomorrow. Maybe they'll have more than one. Obviously, just like the TMZ or, we had the Hicksville owner come. When it comes to rebuttal, these are witnesses that really aren't on your witness list in the beginning. They show up last minute. That's why you see that discussion about that. So it could be even more than one. They got 7 hours left.
Do you think Amber will work again?
I don't think she is going to be hired by any Hollywood studio regardless of the outcome. She's so disliked. And look, these studios, I've represented them. I'm here in LA. They are in the business of making money. And why put out a movie that a lot of people are going to boycott when there are hundreds of other actors and actresses that are options? So I just don't think it's going to happen, because regardless of the outcome, I think she's come across as very unlikable. So I don't expect her to be working on any big films.
What do you think of Camille Vasquez?
I thought she was very good during the cross-examination of Amber Heard. I thought she was very, very effective. I thought that yesterday she did, and I know it's hard to criticize Camille. Everyone loves her, but I thought she did a poor job when it came to the evidentiary objections of Knight, the owner of Hicksville. Elaine objected, leading, like 6 or 7 objections in a row. Camille got tripped up. So even though she was amazing last week, I thought she was mediocre this week.
Did the TMZ guy say enough without naming names?
I think he did. The implication was clear that, and basically he got it through saying, listen, we at TMZ, we vet the sources. Unless the source is vetted, unless it's original, we're not going to post it. One, for just reliability reasons, but 2, for copyright reasons. So unless the source is reliable, we're not going to go to court, or we're not going to go show up to some law firm's parking lot or show up at LAX. So the clear implication was that the source, because remember he talked about it just took about 15 minutes to kind of vet the video and the sources, and it came directly from a producer. The clear implication was that the information was coming from Amber Heard or someone close to her, especially with the video. The video, remember, he talked about TMZ is not going to post it unless they have a permission from the copyright holder. Again, the fact that they put it up on the website within 15 minutes, the clear implication, in my opinion, was that it came directly from Amber or someone associated with her.
What about Depp's texts today? Did he write them?
I believe he did write them. Set aside what you've seen on social media, that it was inbound. Again, they could have been extracted from his assistant's phone. If there was any argument that those weren't Johnny's text messages, I believe his lawyers would have made those arguments. I think probably one of Johnny's only mistakes during this entire trial was not admitting that those text messages were him.
Sorry, I'm trying to get to everyone's questions, but there's so many coming in.
I gotta thank Julia. She's behind the camera. She does this all the time. So thanks for doing this. Again, thank you all for watching. Again, I'm Neama Romani, here to answer all your questions about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. I've been covering this case every day for Court TV and Long Crime. I'll be on Court TV in an hour. We'll be recapping today's testimony. Most important day of trial so far. And Johnny Depp really was on fire today, as well as his witnesses.
How do you feel about court cases being televised?
I'm a huge fan of court cases being televised. And I've prosecuted, tried cases in federal court. There's no cameras allowed in federal court. So when I was there, I get the courtroom artist sketching me. I like cameras in the courtroom for this reason. We have public trials in this country. That's one of the things that makes this country great. There's no secret trials. Everything's open to the public. And they should have access to our system of justice, whether it's something like George Floyd or Kyle Rittenhouse or Ahmaud Arbery, or these really sort of serious cases, the Trump impeachment, however you feel. I believe that the public has the right to see what's happening in trials across the country. So, look, Johnny Depp may not be a capital case. No one's going to prison, right? But it's still an important case, and the public should have access and be able to see what's happening in cases around the country.
Thoughts on the 15 minutes of fame question?
Yeah, that was a good clapback by Elaine. She was basically saying, look, I get the question. You're not involved in the case. You're flying out here, right, on your own dime. You're waiving your reporter privilege. You're probably not going to work as a reporter again because no one's going to hire you or no one's going to give you information. The source may be compromised. Your former employer, TMZ, might sue you. But he had a very good and witty response. I don't think Elaine was ready for that.
Can Amber sue TMZ guy?
No. If she voluntarily provided the video to TMZ, then what basis does she have to sue? Unless the video was somehow stolen from her, I don't see a legal claim there.
All right. And what are Amber's chances of winning her counter?
I think Amber's chance of winning Depp's defamation claim, so basically Depp's losing, there's a much higher chance of that happening than Amber Heard winning her counterclaim. This is why. First, the statements that came from Depp's lawyer didn't come from Depp, so she has to prove the lawyer was acting at Depp's direction. Maybe not a huge burden to overcome, but it's something that she's going to have to prove. The second is, I didn't think her damaged witnesses were particularly good, right? You had Warner Brothers come say that basically she had poor chemistry with her co-star, and that's why they didn't really want to use her for Aquaman 2. And I think a lot of her claims, they're really speculative, that because she got Aquaman 1, that her career was going to take off in a way that it didn't. And I wasn't really impressed by her damages witnesses. That's why I don't think her counterclaim is that strong.
What do you think will happen with Aquaman 2?
Reportedly, they're already reducing her role to about 10 minutes. Like, is anyone going to watch it? Again, people dislike her so much. I get it, the film's already in production, but if you're a Hollywood studio, I got to ask you, does it make good business sense to hire Amber Heard?
I can imagine people booing when she goes on screen.
Yeah, I mean, just people are going to boycott it.
Yeah.
I mean, regardless of what happens in this case, I think Amber Heard's lost.
Yeah. Everyone's saying poor Jason Momoa.
Yeah, Jason. I mean, look, Jason did a good job trying to defend his co-star. Reportedly, they were trying to write her off. He insisted that she be on. So I thought he was a good witness. Amber Heard, probably a good friend, but it's probably too little, too late to save her, in my opinion.
Will Jennifer Howell's entire letter be shown to the jury?
I don't think so. Jennifer Howell was someone I thought was gonna So today was. My mind was blown with the witnesses. Yesterday, I thought Hal was going to come in guns blazing. She's going to say that Whitney's a liar, and she's going to have the evidence to prove it. And that testimony at the end of the day yesterday was pretty underwhelming, in my opinion. What did Jennifer say? She said that she's never seen Johnny drunk or on drugs. Well, we know that's not true. Everyone's testified, even Johnny himself, that he's a substance abuse problem. And that she's never seen Depp be violent towards Amber, and Amber has never complained about Depp being violent. But again, I don't think that really moved the needle that much. Very underwhelming testimony by Jennifer yesterday. Especially, we've been talking about her for so long, my expectations were sky high.
How do you deal with a client like Amber?
I have the luxury of choosing who I represent. So probably for every 20 clients that call, we might retain one of them, because I don't want to represent clients that I don't want to represent. It's a luxury I have of having my own firm, been doing this for 20 years, former prosecutor, one of the youngest people that ever graduated Harvard Law School. I know some of this just sounds a little bit arrogant, but I've been doing this too long to work for clients that I don't like, so I don't do it, and I probably want to represent someone like that that's not likable and not credible.
All right. You got another cowboy hat.
I love the cowboy hats.
Can the jury rule without following defamation law?
Look, the jurors are supposed to follow the law, right? So the judge is going to instruct them probably either tomorrow, when the witnesses are done, the judge will pre-instruct her before closing arguments. And the judge will tell them, for Johnny Depp to prove defamation, he's got to prove two things. First, that Amber Heard's statement that she was a victim of domestic violence was false. Second, Depp has to prove malice, right? Malice means that Amber Heard knew it was false, actually knew. He's got to get inside Amber Heard's head, or she acted with reckless disregard for the truth. And he has to prove both of these by clear and convincing evidence. So that's the law. But who knows what the jurors are going to do? Maybe they'll be like, listen, we think Amber Heard was a victim, but we don't like her. So Johnny, you win. We're going to award you $1 or some nominal damages, or we're just going to rule against Amber because she lied to us. So you never know what 7 strangers who can't get out of jury duty will do. You can never predict what's going to happen in a jury trial in this country.
How much time is left for each side?
Amber's got 1 hour, Johnny's got 7. So tomorrow will be the last day of witness testimony.
How long are closing arguments typically?
Yeah, it depends on the case. Sometimes they can last for days, but in this case, the judges made it clear we're going to finish closing arguments in 1 day on Friday. So I assume we're going to have 3 hours on each side, and then after Friday, probably when the jury comes back on Tuesday after Memorial Day, they're going to start deliberating. We'll probably get a verdict next week.
In your professional opinion, who will win?
Tough to say. If you asked me before the trial, I thought Johnny didn't have a chance because he lost so bad in the UK. But he has done such a good job here in this case. He's been amazing. His witnesses have been a lot better. His lawyers have been better on objections, more prepared than Amber Heard's lawyers. And frankly, Amber Heard has not been a good witness. So I think Johnny has the lead right now. But again, the law favors Amber Heard.
What was the point of the airport lady? Was it worth it?
Oh, I thought it was a fantastic witness. Look, jurors love police officers. Love, love, love. Setting aside how any of us might feel about cops, jurors love them. So you have a police officer that comes and testifies that Amber Heard was drunk, she was violent, she was aggressive, she was grabbing her ex, pulled a necklace off her, slurring her speech. Look, anytime you show that Amber is violent, she's toxic, she's volatile, that's always a good thing, especially when it's coming out of a police officer's mouth.
Can they both lose?
Yes. So what people really haven't thought of is, look, the jurors might be like, I don't like any of these people. These are privileged Hollywood actors and actresses that are wasting my time, asking for tens of millions of dollars from each other. I'm going to rule against both of them, or even if I think Johnny wins, I'm going to give him a small amount, $100, so that's certainly a possibility. Consider that the jury just washes their hands of all of this and awards nothing, or almost nothing, to the parties.
Can you explain the time breakdown for tomorrow?
Yeah, so Johnny Depp is still in rebuttal. He has 7 hours, so we can use that for his witnesses, and we know he has at least one more, and cross-examination of Amber Heard's witnesses. Why Amber Heard's witnesses? There's something called a sur-rebuttal, S-U-R, rebuttal, where Amber Heard can testify herself or present witnesses. But Amber only has 1 hour left. So likely, unless it's some very quick witnesses, it's going to be her or probably just one more witness.
What about a lot of people have been asking this still, what about the 2 Molly texts, incoming, not outgoing?
Yeah, so lawyers can subpoena parties and non-parties. And by subpoena, that means get documents, including text messages. So the lawyers issued subpoenas in this case, not just to Johnny Depp, to Johnny Depp's assistant. So the text messages that were read may have been from Johnny, but may have been extracted from the assistant's phone for some reason. Either Depp deleted his text messages, lost his phone for whatever reason. Lawyers do it all the time. So just because the text message is sent incoming does not mean that they weren't sent from Johnny's phone.
Do you think Warner Brothers or Disney will try to work with Johnny Depp?
Disney may. So Warner Brothers, that witness was the Marvel witness that talked about, Aquaman and that sort of franchise. I don't think anyone's going to want to work with Amber Heard, frankly, because I think she's so disliked right now. The question is Disney going to roll the dice now, depending on the outcome of the trial, and bring Johnny Depp back? Maybe. He's done an amazing job. I think he's won over the public, and it's probably going to be a good business decision. But I used to represent Disney for many years, and I can tell you that they're generally pretty conservative when it comes to these types of things. They're really sort of family-friendly. And, setting aside some of the controversy that's happened in Florida and how they kind of dealt with that, and DeSantis, generally they don't like to get involved in any kind of controversial cases or situations like this.
If Johnny wins, does Amber need to pay $50 million?
So if Johnny wins, he's going to get a judgment against Amber Heard. Can Amber Heard afford to pay $50 million? Probably not. She can't even afford to pay her lawyers and have to lie about donating $7 million to charity to have money for her attorney fees. So, look, if Johnny wins, is he going to try to collect money from his ex-wife? Maybe. If he does, I assume he's going to donate it to charity. By the way, I really like Johnny's discussion of the charities today. The work he did for Make-A-Wish, Children's Hospital, just really good stuff. But I think this is a case about Johnny telling the story and clearing his name, not actually collecting money from Amber Heard.
Everyone's saying that Johnny's going to be in the next Beetlejuice too.
No, maybe. I'm old,
That'd
so
be
I don't
cool.
know. That would be cool.
Yeah. Sorry. We are getting so many questions out there, taking a long time to load.
All right, guys, just to recap. Neama Romani, trial lawyer, been practicing 20 years, graduated Harvard Law School age 22, one of the youngest people ever to do so. Former big law attorney, represented companies like Disney, to be one of my clients. I was a prosecutor for many years. Now I represent victims, sexual harassment, personal injury, civil rights. So I represent victims of crime, and I'm a commentator on Court TV and Law and Crime. Going to be on Court TV in about an hour, just checking the time. Oh, wow, less than an hour. Recapping today's huge day of testimony in the Depp Heard trial. So jump in with any questions. I'm happy to answer them until I get on TV.
Okay, be careful how you answer this one, just because we're on TikTok. But do you believe the SA allegations with a bottle?
Yeah, so we're talking about the two big assault allegations, the two most serious, right? 2013 Hicksville, that was the cavity search, and 2015 Australia, the bottle penetration. Look, it's hopefully, yeah. Those are two very hard allegations to discuss. One, because we're on TikTok, and I got to be careful about how I address it. The second is because we're really relying on Amber Heard's testimony alone to corroborate that. There's no independent evidence of this. And I'm not saying that I would expect a victim of an assault like that to take pictures of her private region, right? Or to run DNA on the bottle. I'm trying to be as PG as I possibly can. But
doing good.
But like, the challenge Amber Heard has is this. She wants the jurors to believe that happened based on her testimony alone. But she's clearly lied or exaggerated about some other things. I think undermines her credibility across the board, and really raises questions about whether those things happen when she doesn't have corroborating evidence or witnesses to prove it.
Okay, we'll do a couple more because I know you need to start getting ready for Court TV today.
Yes, you guys check me out on Court TV. I will be back on tomorrow to do another live. What are we doing, 4 p.m. Pacific?
Let me check really quick.
Julia has my schedule, so she's checking. We'll be recapping today's testimony. Like I said, in less than an hour, check me out, and we'll be back on tomorrow. And every day this week, until we get a verdict, you'll see me Friday. We'll talk about closing arguments. What are we doing tomorrow?
4 p.m. works.
4 p.m.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to finish up Law and Crime tomorrow. I'm going to do the afternoon session. We'll be back on TikTok Live 4 p.m. I'll answer all your questions about tomorrow's testimony.
Okay.
So a couple more because I got to do Court TV.
What do you think about Amber's mention of the bruise kit?
Yeah, so the bruise kit, by the way, follow if you like what you're watching. The bruise kit. We needed a theory from Johnny Depp. I've been saying it for weeks now. Is it Photoshop? Is it makeup? Is it filler or Botox? Something, because the jurors are going to want to really have some sort of explanation as to why those pictures were fabricated. And we finally got it today when we had the expert testify that it was Photoshop. So I think that's the direction Depp's lawyers are going to go with during closing argument on Friday. You guys, obviously, you're here on TikTok. Give us a follow on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter, at West Coast Trial Lawyers, at Neama Romani. I live tweet during the middle of trial, so you can get the most up-to-date thoughts then. And, of course, we're doing our daily videos here on TikTok. I'll reply to comments with video if I can, and obviously we do our lives every day as well.
Yes, his Twitter is at Neama Romani, Neama, and then Romani.
Rahmani.
Yes.
It's a tough one. Neama Romani. Neama Rahmani. Let's do a couple last questions before I gotta get ready for Court TV.
Okay. Let's see. What did you think about Dr. Curry today?
I thought she was good. You know, today there were so many amazing witnesses. Maybe on an ordinary day we'd be spending a lot more time talking about Dr. Curry. She basically came and I don't know if I use the word, she shit on Dr. Hughes and her methodology and how she interpreted the test. But, you know, we got a lot of good information out of her the first time around she testified. That's why she was one of the first witnesses for Johnny Depp. She testified about the borderline histrionics. So we really kind of got all that out already. For her to come and just to say Dr. Hughes doesn't know what she's doing, when the experts kind of do that, for me, it's a wash. And I think the jury disregards a lot of it. Same thing with Dr. Sean Spiegel. Like, you know, when these experts come, like, for me, it's like they're paid to be there. I don't think they're particularly effective, in my opinion.
Okay, last question. As of today, who do you think will win?
I think as of today, because Johnny Depp has done such a good job and he's really painted this picture of Amber Heard being a liar, I think Johnny Depp is in the lead as of now.
All right. Well,
thanks, everyone. Catch me on Court TV tonight. I'll be on Law and Crime tomorrow afternoon. So Court TV tonight at 6. Long Crime starting noon tomorrow. These are all Pacific, so 6 p.m., 9 Eastern, Court TV, noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow for Law and Crime. We're going to be doing TikTok Live tomorrow, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. Follow us, obviously, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitter, at Neama Romani, Neamarahmani, and at West Coast Trial Lawyers. See you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.